So this set of issues that we have been doing in the internal organizations of the farm, especially from this particular article. This article is very well written and gives you a lot of hints about the future direction of research and all, and also the interesting development that has taken place in recent past. Okay. So now we are moving on to, all of us are aware of all these things that happens in all organizations, all locality, all residents welfare organizations everywhere. So these are not new things, but the issue is that understanding in proper manner in the framework of an economic model is extremely helpful, because that helps you to understand all the complications and complexities of life that you will face in different organization or different socio-economic situations, whether as a government servant implementing a public policy, or maybe working in some corporate sector, looking at different complications that arises when you are dealing with many different types of people. So this power and politics, this is a very nice model by Rotenberg, 1994. And so the idea is very important, that who has power in organization. So in the last class, we have tried to see that when the boss will actually delegate the decision-making authority to the agent, and that depends mainly on the information that the agent can collect, and whether that collection of information is beneficial for the value of the farm. So in case it happens that the agents does better in terms of collecting information and then taking the decisions according to that information, then possibly delegating the authority to the agent might be optimal under some circumstances. So here the questions we are raising, that who has power in organizations, okay? So there are different ways one can look at this issue. Now, the existing ways are that resource dependency theory, which tells you that the power goes to those who control important resources. Okay, so in other words, that it is along the line of your Grossman Hart, that if you are actually controlling important resources which generates the value for the farm, and without your support and your involvement, those resources would not be properly utilized. So in that context, you should be holding the power. Similarly, the strategic contingency theory, which tells you that power goes to those who can help the organization cope with important problems. Okay. So, yeah.
So here, like, what exactly do we mean by power? The decision making power?
Can you see my screen? That's the first.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Power means who has the power or the authority, which may not be formally delegated. In the previous model, we have seen that it is delegated. Here, it may not be delegated that explicitly. We are in a world of imperfect contract, and then power to make key decision. Okay. And that key decision can be implicitly given to some subordinate in a manner that, suppose I have two research assistants, but one of them I trust more, and I give him some additional kind of elbow room in terms of making decision, which would then mean that between the two assistants that I have, one of them I have given implicitly, I have given some additional power in terms of making key decisions, and that would be recognized by the other subordinate also. I mean the other research assistant also. Okay. The power is power of making decisions. Okay. And so here the resource dependency theory tells you that who is having the control over most important resources, that guy should have power in the organization. Similarly, strategic contingency theory tells you that where power goes to those who can help the organization cope with important problems. So if you look at the top CEOs in different organizations, maybe for Google, Sundar Pichai has power based on strategic contingency. Okay, so that means that he can help the organization to cope with important problems, whether it is a a legal case against Google in the Competition Commission of India, that it is using some practices which is anti-competitive in nature. So the contributions are coming from different contingencies in which some people can come out with better ideas and those who have better abilities to deal with those problems. Okay. So in that case, those are the most powerful people in the organization. Okay. So the idea is that within the organization, don't assume that everybody is equally powerful. Some people will have additional power than the others, and that power will be a derived power based on certain factors. Now, different theories, I mean the different perception about how the organization is run, have come out with different theories, and these two theories that I have just talked about, these are informal descriptive descriptions of the issues, and it tells you in a straightforward way that if you control the most important resource, then you should have more power, because without your involvement and your decision making, the organization cannot function well. Similarly, if you are brilliant in terms of ideas and your plan in terms of helping the organization the critical juncture, then you should have more power. Okay, so that these are the two views. Now Rutenberg has talked about that actually this theory of the power in the organization should be looked slightly differently from the angle of an economist, and then from the lens of economic issues, we can think of that power is vested on the person who is best informed. Okay, so because we have seen that in the organizations, based on information, the most important decisions are taken. So the person who has the most information, the better information, should have more power, because it will make the decision about the future course of action. On the other hand, there are who has the highest willingness to pay for controlling the decision. Okay, so that happens in auction or in market. So in other words, I am willing to grab some power in my organization, but obviously for which I have to pay something. Now that payment may not be the real payment in terms of your real kind of money contribution to the organization, but maybe that will come from that I am ready to compromise on certain other things. Okay, so what happens in the typical auction or in the market, you buy the commodity or you buy the product. Okay, similarly within the organization, you can also buy the decision making power, but not directly by giving money to the organization or the crucial people who are giving you the power, but some other ways, and I will get into one such way that happens. Okay, but this particular view that the person who has most information should have power, or the view that the person who cares for power should have power, because that person will be willing to pay more. Okay, but these ideas are based on the assumption that we are in a world of perfect market, I mean the perfect contract. Okay, so in other words, that if I would like to take a decision making authority from my principal, then essentially there is a scope for perfect contract. So we can write a contract that in certain contingencies I will make decisions, and for that contract can be written. But that is not possible in most of the cases. And we know that we have already done enough of imperfect contract, because contracts cannot be written properly for a variety of reasons. And we have seen that the organizations function even without any contract. So even without any contract, we have seen how the repeated game structure can give rise to certain behavior, which are subjectively assessed, and based on that, the relationship continues. So we have seen relational contract, we have seen the other kind of career concern and other kind of aspects in organization, how they function. Okay, so in an imperfect contract world, so the power that can be vested on people who are crucial, in a sense, that who would be most who most like to retain. So in other words, the organization will give power to those people who they would like to retain in the future, okay, not fire in the future, okay. So this is a very implicit kind of understanding based on which organization is giving power to those people who will be retained in future. But the persons who are not going to be retained or who will be easily fired, they will not be vested with the power of decision making in the organization, okay. And that for this particular thing, we will be doing a simple model to analyze this aspect, that the power will be vested with the person who will be retained. Now, so the issue that we are trying to handle is that based on a Rothenberg's simple model, that boss must decide which of two subordinates will be allowed to make a key decision. Now, whoever is making a key decision can boast of that that person has greater power because it is making that crucial decision, okay. Now, so now the issue is that each subordinate would value receiving this decision making authority, okay, and that valuation can be that two subordinates are deriving some personal benefit, BI, when such a power is given to them, okay. So for the player I equal to 1 and 2, so the benefit that person 1 will get B1 and person 2 will get B2, okay. So now these benefits may be different for different people. So for example, I may not be interested in enjoying that much of administrative power in the department, but I might be happy doing my own research and mentoring students for their PhDs and teaching well in my master's program, okay. So I may not value that much the decision making power in terms of who should be hired, who should be given which course, or how you actually negotiate with the administration in terms of better facility in the department. So my benefit from enjoying the power will be less, and some other people might be enjoying those powers like powers of the power of position that might give them higher benefit. So now based on these benefits, we can easily divide the how the power should be distributed between the parties. So the guy who values the power more, that person should have the power. So subordinate 1 will be given the decision making authority if B1 is greater than B2. On the other hand, the subordinate 2 will be given the authority or that power if B2 is greater than B1. Okay, so that's a very simple way of looking at it. Now we'll see that B1 and B2 are not the only factors that will determine how the power should be given to these two subordinates, okay. Now there can be other differences. One other the two other differences can be, and you can think of many other differences. So two main other differences are that their contribution, the value that they contribute to the firm is VI, okay. And this VI is basically B1 for player 1 and B2 for player 2. Now this B1 and B2 can be different, okay. That's one dimension of difference. Another difference could be that these two subordinates might have outside option, but that outside option or the outside wage will be different for different subordinates. So R1 and R2. So these small R1 and small R2, these are outside wage, and that can be best alternative employment offer that they can have from outside. They can be different, okay. Now we'll see that based on these differences, that is B, I and Ri, how the subordinate will be given the power, okay. Now this Ri that we are talking about, the outside option of the agent, so first assumption is that that may not be known to the principal, okay. So I do not know the agent's outside option, so I can only have some kind of I can have some prior knowledge about the distribution of this outside option, and let us suppose that Ri is uniformly distributed over 0 to capital Ri, okay. So this is for player 1 R1 and player 2 R2. Okay, and this is uniform distribution. Okay, now this particular assumption is being made to highlight some other issue, that if Vi is greater than Ri, so that it is always efficient for the subordinate to work in the current job. So in other words, that although I do not know properly about the outside option of the subordinate, because it can lie between 0 and capital Ri, but even if it takes the highest value, but its contribution to the farm value is higher, so it is better that the subordinate spends the time with this current employer rather than going to the outside employment. Okay, so now Vi by Ri is a measure of how much more valuable subordinate I is in the farm than outside. So this will be used, this particular ratio will be used to determine some of the this distribution of power. Now we assume that the principal who doesn't have the knowledge of the outside option of the subordinate, but only knows about the distribution of that outside option. So it will make a take it or leave it offer of wage, and that is Wi. And depending on this wage offer, which will be based on some expectation, the agent who knows the outside option Ri, for sure it will compare the with small Ri, and then it will decide whether to remain with the farm or to leave the farm. Okay, so this is the idea, that you not knowing about the exact value of the small Ri, that is the outside option, because have you known that outside option, you would have simply matched that. Okay, and in that case the subordinate will never have the incentive to leave you. But on the other hand, when you do not know the exact amount of the outside option, but you only know how much is what is the distribution of it, so your offer to that agent will be based on your expected value, and that expected value may be lower than the outside option value that the agent knows for sure. Okay, so agent knows for sure, but principal doesn't know, and principal would like to make an offer Wi, which is a take it or leave it offer. And after comparing this W and Ri, the agent will decide which one to accept. Now another important thing is, we have assumed that the subordinate has benefit of Bi, that is B1 and B2. And so the advantage of allowing the decision-making authority to the subordinate who values the Bi more would be then that I can offer you a lower wage. That means my Wi offer can be lower, because your comparison point will be that you are getting Wi as the money wage, but you are also getting a benefit of the decision-making authority, and that's how you are enjoying a power, and that enjoyment of power is giving you some additional utility of small Bi, and then your enjoyment being in the farm will be Wi plus small Bi. Okay, so that would be your utility for being in the farm, but your outside option is giving you small Ri. Okay, so now let us move on to calculating that what should be the ideal or the optimal Wi that the principal should choose when the benefit of enjoying the power is small Bi. So Wi has to be given as the wage to the agent, and Vi will be the contribution of that agent to the farm value. So Vi minus Wi will be the principal's payoff, but this payoff will be enjoyed provided that the agent is willing to work for the principal, and that willingness will depend on that whether the outside option Ri is lower than Wi plus Bi. And given that we know that our Ri has a distribution, so there is a probability that this will occur. So we will be multiplying this with the probability that Ri is less than Wi plus Bi. Okay, and this will give you the expected payoff by by offering WI to the subordinate who enjoys the power, and that power gives him this BI amount of benefit. Okay. Similarly, you can choose WJ, that is for the jth subordinate, Vj minus Wj into probability that Rj less than Wj. Now here, the setup we are considering between the two subordinate I and J. Suppose I is given the power and J is not given the power, then keep it, and I need both of them. So when I need both of them, so by delegating the power or giving the power to I is giving me this much expected payoff. By not giving the power to J subordinate, the utility, the expected payoff that the principal will derive is Vj minus Wj into probability that Rj is less than Wj. Because this guy doesn't have any power in the organization, so his point of comparison will be between what it gets from within the organization and what it gets from outside. Okay. So now, interestingly, you know that this is your uniform distribution, and you just simply look at that this Wi plus Bi as a point between 0 to Ri, and then accordingly you can easily calculate the probability of this. Okay. And with that probability, you will be able to multiply this with Vi minus Wi, and then take the derivative with respect to Wi. You will get this as the solution, Vi minus Bi by 2. So is it clear that what would be your probability when you have 0 to capital Ri is the range on which you have uniform distribution, and you are looking at the value, probability value for all Ri belonging to the small Wi plus Bi. Okay. So what would be the probability of that? Ri less than a particular kind of fixed point there within the 0 to capital Ri. What would be the probability?
Wi plus Bi upon capital Ri.
Good. So then you just multiply that, and once you multiply that and then take the derivative with respect to Wi, you will exactly get this. Okay. So this particular program gives you that if I would like to give power to subordinate I and not to subordinate J, then I have to offer Wi star is this much and Wj star is this much. Now remember one thing, that given that I'm giving you power, and based on that power you are interested to work for me even at a lower value of the wage, and that lower value is being adjusted by this minus Bi. Clear? So given that you are enjoying additional benefit of power, so you are willing to work for me at a lower wage. Okay. Similarly, I can consider what happens if I do the opposite. Now, before that, let us look at what would be my expected profit. My expected profit will be based on this Wi star and Wj star. I will be able to calculate from these expressions my
So
yeah.
So I just have a kind of a stupid question. So, but according to this model, wouldn't it mean that as higher up you like climb up in the like maybe corporate ladder or something, you will get lower wages?
It's a very good question. You see, it's not when you are at the higher level, you are getting very lower wages because you are getting power. But on the other hand, you have many other factors which are also interacting there. So when you are higher at the corporate ladder, that means that over time, if you go back to our previous class, over time your ability is well known. And I have told you that the managers at the early stage, they really work hard. Okay. And when they work hard, they try to convince the outside market, including their present employer, that they are of better ability. Okay. And once that belief is formed by the market that the managers are kept in a longer period on the payroll, and they are also promoted. So that gives the entire world a very high expectations about their true value. And in that case, this Ri, small Ri also goes up. So although your BI is dampening, but your small Ri goes up, and in that case, you have to adjust your this Wi according to this small Ri.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so what we are trying to establish is that only a partial effect, that if you enjoy power, other thing remaining the same, you should be willing to take a lower wage. Okay, and as I told you that variety of other factors which determine the pay to the CEOs. Okay, and there are plenty of empirical work related to that. Let me also tell you, and those empirical works basically try to look at the partial effect of all these. So the period of service and their position in the corporate ladder, their power and variety of other things within the measurable things, because not everything is measurable. And many of these empirical work are also based on interviews. So in a sense that you can interview the CEOs, and based on that you collect data and then try to do some kind of analysis by converting those data into some kind of measurable indexes. Okay, so maybe I ask you 10 questions, and if the questions are suitably framed, that your power is reflected by, if your all these parameters are giving me say 8, okay, the answer is 8, then I know that you are powerful in the organization. If it is below that, I can think that you do not have that much of power. So there are plenty of empirical work which are trying to establish this kind of behavior of the CEO pay and compensation. So now what we are getting, that expected profit of from the subordinate I is given by, if we plug in the value of Wi star, is this much. Similarly, the expected profit from subordinate J, who doesn't have any power, will be this much. So now the total profit by this design, the design is that I gets the power, J doesn't get it, and we have all these things are different. PI, BI, RI, okay, RJ, these are all different. Okay. Now, so this is our total payoff based on that I gets the power. Now, alternatively, we can think of that boss could allocate authority to subordinate J, in which case the resulting optimal wage offers would yield the total expected payoff. Basically, we will do the same analysis in the same manner, but just the I and J interchange. Okay, so we will get the expected profit where the I and J are just simply interchanged. So now J is the person who is given the power and I is not, and then this will be a total payoff. Now you can simply compare the payoffs of expected payoff by assigning the power, allocating the power to I or allocating the power to J, and compare them. When you compare these two expressions, you will find that boss should allocate authority to subordinate I if this particular term is greater than this particular term, and in that case, with all this this will be cancelled out from here, and similarly this and from here. So you will be left with this expression to compare. Okay. Now here, look at the role of VI by RI. Now VI by RI is there, similarly VJ by RJ. Okay. In determining the optimal allocation of decision-making authority, for example, is BI and BJ are approximately equal. So we are assuming BI and BJ equal. Okay. And then you can see that V's and R's and especially V by R, these ratios on the two sides will be the key determinants in terms of who should be getting the power. Okay. So in other words, then the value contribution of to the firm value will be a deciding factor. So imagine that VI by RI is more here. So that means I should get the power in this organization. Okay. So then this particular model has been handled by Rotenberg in multiple extensions. One is 2-period model was done, Then also repeated game model was done. Okay, so these you can just simply read. They are not that important, but what is important is to see that how the allocation of power or the authority can simply be formulated in terms of a simple model, and see that who should be enjoying the authority of decision making in an organization through the lens of this power. Okay. Now, what matters is that this power can also be shared between subordinates. But the problem with sharing is that what will happen if they disagree? Now, if they disagree, there will be fight. And there are papers on those fights, and these Rajan and Jingales 2000, and then Skeperdas. So Gibbon's own admission is that this particular area has good potential in terms of research, which is not yet properly done. And as you can easily see that this, what we have just discussed, is also related to look at any organization that you are thinking of, corporate, non-profit, political organization. Political organization, you know that how the different seats of MLAs and MPs are allocated. We all know that implicitly, that how different leaders are being fielded in different places. Okay, so it is not only the party's ideology and the vote base, but it also depends on a bit of a market competitions, that who is able to bring in more value to the party, and that value you can think of in many different ways. That can be simply in terms of how much money the political leader can actually contribute to the party. Okay, and also you can think of the outside option, the small RI and all, and that's how you also see the switching of parties from one to another. Okay, so these things has very really interesting and pervasive significance, and that way this Rotenberg, which is a fundamental paper in this the particular field, that how you actually can delegate power, and power means what, and you can have variety of ways to look into this aspect. And this was further kind of extended when the powers are shared. And when the powers are shared, as you can correctly see, that in case of any disagreement, when two powerful people are there and they have disagreement, they will fall apart. And then when they fall apart, there will be fight. And so there can be models related to that also. And these two models are what is being mentioned. Okay. And remember, this particular paper was written in 2003. So I am sure those who are still looking for papers for presentations, and if you are interested in this kind of ideas and analysis, you can see that based on these papers, there can be many papers until 2000. Okay, so you can check whether who has cited these papers, and whether they belong to some interesting areas of understanding that will help us. Okay, so this is all about the power and the corresponding kind of fight that are, and this fight is what Gibbons is calling politics. Politics means essentially you are doing manipulation within the organizations in order to take advantage, which will help you to maximize your own kind of own good, own welfare or own benefit. Okay, so this is all for this particular module. And with this, I will be stopping here. And in the next class, I will be moving to the mergers and acquisitions. Okay. So this particular incentives and organizations that I have done so far has opened you to a bunch of literature which will not be covered in other courses, that I am absolutely sure. But the foundation that you are that is being built on these incentives and organizations will be helpful for your institution's paper that Parikshit will be teaching. Okay, so his course will draw upon some of these ideas and issues from the module that I have just finished, the incentives and organizations. Okay, so this is how the connections are with other courses, and that's how we are coming to the end of this particular module. And in the next class, we will be moving on to mergers and acquisitions. So I am just simply stopping the recording, but we will be discussing other things.